The science fiction story begins a few years ago, showing how NASA scientists discovered some very strange things. They found many alien civilizations entering Earth's environment. However, due to some malfunction in the alien spaceships, they began to be completely destroyed, and their small particles and debris started falling to the ground. This debris had spread all over Earth, but it wasn't just ordinary debris. Wherever it fell, an anomaly started occurring, and people in those areas experienced phenomena such as teleportation from one place to another and diseases for which there was no antidote until now. Despite these alien spaceship fragments causing various issues, many people also gained remarkable abilities, such as easily manipulating others, transferring from one place to another, and creating any type of wormhole. These events caused a sensation worldwide. Nobody could figure out how to solve the problem because the number of alien spaceship debris kept increasing, continuously interacting with Earth's environment and affecting its inhabitants. Now, we are shown a hotel where some businessmen have arrived. In reality, they are part of a mafia involved in illegal drug trade and have come to get products from their dealer. Although the dealer returns all the products to the mafia and receives a significant amount of money in return, it suddenly becomes known that special police have also arrived at the hotel. They have received information about illegal businesses being conducted there. Upon discovering this, the mafia and all its members began to flee from the scene. The businessman also becomes quite scared and starts pursuing them. The special police quickly move to check the rooms in the hotel. Meanwhile, the businessman continues to chase the mafia and their associates, who all enter a kitchen. The businessman follows them into the kitchen, but then he notices that the mafia and his associates have disappeared. He is completely confused about how this happened. However, the special police who had arrived on the scene had seen the businessman, so they began to pursue him. Terrified, the businessman reaches the edge of a building with no other options but to jump. But then he loses his balance and falls directly onto a car, leading to his immediate death. Before escaping, the businessman had left an unknown object on the desk. A worker picks it up, and it turns out to be a small fragment of the alien spaceship, which is causing all the anomalies. As soon as the lady handling the debris drops it, it teleports from the floor to the floor below. The lady falls from such a height that she dies on the spot, and no one has any idea that this was caused by a small piece of debris. Due to the incident at the hotel, a number of special officers arrive to investigate the dead bodies. Among them are two special force police officers named Fino Law and Brian. They are in charge of the mission to capture the mafia by any means necessary. The officers also take the fragment of debris that caused the incident and the lady's death. They now fully understand the implications of the alien debris, so they send it to the laboratory for further investigation. Fino Law is keeping a close eye on the case and leading the investigation. Meanwhile, we see a lady traveling in a car with her son. Suddenly, a strange phenomenon occurs, causing blood to flow from the lady's eyes. She becomes extremely weak and stops her car in the middle of the road. When her son checks on her, he finds her unconscious. Shortly after, the lady's body starts levitating slightly in the air. Her son watches this in shock, not knowing what to do, but he remains calm and observes the events. Meanwhile, Fino and Brian are traveling to the same location where the levitating lady was spotted. They cannot figure out whether this is due to the debris or if aliens have truly entered their world and are causing trouble for humans. They arrive at the location where the lady was levitating. Alona informs Brian that her father has been researching these debris for years and will soon complete his research. Shortly after, the officers reach the site where the lady was found levitating. Brian approaches the lady and examines her dead body. He removes the wires from her clothes, causing her body to levitate again and move away. This time, the entire team of special officers pursues her, and she moves into a large cornfield. After a while, they discover that there are many dead bodies in that area, all moving in similar ways. The special officers are terrified by this and quickly recover the bodies, bringing them to a nearby research center. Dr. Saran examines their blood samples and body reports. After compiling all the reports, she informs the special officers that there are very unusual viruses present in the bodies. Due to the unknown nature of these viruses, the individuals have fallen into comas and are floating on their own. Fino and Brian are perplexed by this and begin reviewing every CCTV camera footage that includes these people. They thought that finding out about the victim's family might give them some clues. As they start reviewing the shop's CCTV footage, they see the same lady levitating. When she approaches her car, they also spot a child, named Kyran. This gives them the information that the lady has a child and they had already determined Kyran's location. This leads Fino and Brian to head towards Kyran's home. While searching inside the house for Kyran, they discover that his deceased mother, who was levitating, has already made her way back to her home. When Brian searches the back path, he finds a large piece of debris in the forest. This debris is much larger and more massive than the other alien fragments and emits a lot of radiation, which might be related to recent events. Despite searching the entire house, they cannot find Kyran. Therefore, Fino decides to call a number found in the room, which belongs to the lady's older daughter, Ella. Fino informs Ella that Kyran was killed in a car accident, which happened more than 6 months ago. This information leaves the officers puzzled because the CCTV footage showed events that occurred only recently. They are confused about how Kyran could have died so many months ago. Fino and Brian then visit the alien debris site and, while observing it, Fino experiences strange visions of her ailing mother who had died a long time ago. Fino is unable to understand how these things are related. Later, Fino and Brian meet Ella, who explains that her mother's health had deteriorated a few months ago and she had started behaving in strange ways that frightened them. After confirming everything with Ella, the special officers discuss some details among themselves. They finally understand the reason behind the case, how Kyran, who died 6 months ago, is now alive. It turns out that Kyran had also been exposed to the same alien debris, which allowed him to return from a different timeline after his death. It is suspected that the dominant male aliens are present in Kyran, absorbing the powers of all nearby debris. This means they need to find Kyran at any cost. Fino continues to have visions of her deceased mother, suggesting that these alien fragments have abilities to manipulate things in a different timeline, affecting what humans are thinking. They learn that Kyran was recently seen with the lady at a shop. Meanwhile, in the middle of the city, the mafia group involved in illegal activities is shown. They place some strange objects at a location and use their teleportation ability to disappear. However, one of the mafia's friends is caught in a difficult situation. Unable to use his abilities properly, he ends up in front of a moving car and suffers a severe accident. The mafia leader, for unknown reasons, comes in front of his injured friend and shoots him, causing the friend to crash against a wall. After hearing the gunshots, the police officers gather at the scene and start their investigation. By the time they arrive, the mafia leader has likely escaped. The officers find the friend's body badly embedded in the wall, with only his head, arms, and legs visible. The special officers are baffled by the random nature of these events and suspect that someone is controlling all these occurrences. Next, Fino and Brian are shown entering the same shop where they had received information that Kyran had recently visited the lady. When Brian meets the lady inside the shop and asks her where she last saw Kyran, the lady begins to speak but suddenly starts bleeding heavily from her eyes. Within moments, she becomes unconscious and starts floating, just like others who have been experiencing the same phenomena. Meanwhile, Fino arrives at a car where Kyran is sitting. Using her abilities, Fino takes control and instructs Kyran to drive. Despite Fino's efforts, she is unable to free herself and is forced to travel away with Kyran in the car. Fino realizes that she is also under Kyran's control and if she does not act quickly, the situation could worsen. Fino then calls Ella for an investigation. Brian has come to understand that Kyran returned to life because his mother, after his accident, had prayed for his return. At the same time, a large alien fragment falls into Kyran's mother's garden, turning her visions into reality. If Ella can convince her mother that Kyran is dead and stop her from imagining him, Kyran's abilities might be removed and he could be sent back to reality. Ella immediately goes to her mother's body and tries to convince her, explaining that although she lost her younger brother, she doesn't want to lose her mother too. Ella tells her mother that she will be left alone if she doesn't come back to the real world, pleading with her to accept reality and understand that her son will not return. After some time, her mother regains consciousness and stops thinking about her son. Meanwhile, due to the ending of Fino's mother's influence, there is a bizarre explosion, scattering the debris everywhere as if made from strange soil. Fino then starts her mental operations. Although she wasn't severely injured, Finola shares that when Kyran controlled her, she experienced a strange world. This world was in a state of extreme peace, but it was so dangerous that it could make her do whatever it wanted. And with this suspense, the first episode of this series ends here.